Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Log Talk with Pert Near Outdoors. It's your host, Billy, and I'm not sure what episode this is, what number, but we're somewhere in the 70s, and this is going to be a podcast of us standing around the campfire on Friday night before opening day and just sharing some fun stories, some laughs, and setting expectations for opening day. So we've got, on this episode, we got Jeff Jones and Connor Holly, which are both good friends of mine from high school, and one of our regulars at camp, Adam Fisher. So the four of us had the headsets on, and we're standing out around the bonfire, having a couple drinks, and having a good time and enjoying each other's company. So it's always a good time to get up there. The tradition of deer camp is strong, and the tradition of the night before is always brings everybody together. The excitement's high, and it was really fun to share that experience with Connor and Jeff. Who I've never had that opportunity to share it with, but spent a lot of other memories in my life with. So just on a new front now, doing stuff along those lines, and I couldn't be happier to be doing so. So enjoy this discussion. Lots of success. I shot 2 deer on opening day. If you've not been following us on Instagram, I shot a nice buck and a doe. So I'll be sharing that story, I'm sure, in coming episodes. I'll probably get my dad and my brother and I on to get together and talk some stories, because Dad also shot a buck on opening day. So another successful day for the Bills. And we'll definitely be sharing our stories there. Adam shot a nice buck on opening day, a buck we had a bunch of pictures of, and Dad named 5 and 20 because the way that his G2 was broken on the one side, but the way his G3 and his main beam came together, well, actually split apart, kind of reminded my dad of 5 and 20, Roots 5 and 20, where they split in Avon, hence naming him 5 and 20. So fun fact there. Uncle Mike shot a nice buck today, 12-pointer, actually up at camp. Looked like a great buck, and super happy for him. He's been hunting hard this year and just hasn't had the opportunity. So kudos to him. Sorry I wasn't up there to experience that with him, but I had punched my tags, and I needed to get back to the ranch. So that is where I am. I know a pile of other people had great success. I wish you all a great week as we head into the Thanksgiving week. Get out there. It looks like the weather should be good, and hope you have the best of luck. If you do, make sure to send us over your pictures or tag us, and we'll make sure to share them up on our story. So thank you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and enjoy the discussion. If you do get yourself a nice buck on the ground and you're looking to get a European mount made, remember to give our buddy John Peterson over at Deadhead. He's in Lancaster, New York, and doing a little side hustle and doing some European mounts, as well as if you shoot a bear, he'll do a bear too. Maybe he'd do a raccoon if you get a nice raccoon, or a fox or something of that nature. It's not something he's ever done, but I'm sure if you can boil it, you can Euro it. So there you go. Enjoy the discussion. Have fun. Happy Thanksgiving, and keep fading them. Hello. Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah,
He's
like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors.
Switch.
Yeah, I was getting cramped today.
You were cramping?
You cramping too much beer the day before, or what? menstrual cycle?
Menstrual, yeah.
It was menstrual cramp.
Do you have all your length, Connor?
I think so.
Yeah. Is it
No, he
enough?
doesn't.
I don't even know
Enough
where my. Oh,
length?
Nope.
here, I can shift over.
You shift? Okay.
I got a long one.
Oh, you do got a long
what
one.
she said.
He's
It
got
is-
good length.
Wow, that's longer. I
Yeah,
didn't
great length.
know I bought multiple length headphones.
Yeah.
I've never
I
got
like
to
that.
brag about length, but
Yeah.
mine's
Tell me-
longest.
Tell me about it.
Congratulations.
It's the first in
Someone's
life.
got to have it. Someone gets it.
So we just
Do you think Frank's got a big one?
Frank's. We know he has a big one.
Yeah.
Is that Uncle Tim?
Just showing
No.
up?
Yep.
Someone's got to be just.
It's
looks
not
like-
Jimmy. Jimmy's lights are fucking.
Is he seriously showing up right now?
That is definitely.
It's 8:45, yeah?
That's showing off to Timmy.
Somebody.
Classic Timbo.
Right.
Classic Tim.
Is that normal?
Yeah.
Show up, show
Except-
up late?
Well, I wonder if Uncle Chris. Well, no, there's no way Uncle Chris is with him.
Could be.
Maybe he waited for Chris.
No. He started doing 72 things at his house, and
Tim did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had to do this, and I had to.
Yeah, he had to change the filter on the furnace.
Had to.
It's 55 degrees today.
One more day's not going to make it, right? That furnace
So
is- Are we hot?
we're hot.
Oh,
We've
jeez.
been hot.
Joe, the whole time?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Dude, you gotta let somebody know here.
No.
You know, okay.
All
Well, so we're standing around the bonfire. We just had a colorful conversation off record about
Off record.
life as we know it right now. And for the record, we're all standing around a bonfire outside, socially
Exterior.
distanced.
I'm definitely
Good
more
air
than 6 feet.
movement from north to south.
Yeah.
I have gas, so I apologize, Adam. You're directly south of my gas.
The thermals are lifting.
The thermals are lifting. Yeah, we got a front moving in. Yeah. So standing here, I got Jeff Jones. I got myself. We're going counterclockwise here. Connor Holly. Say hi, Connor.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
And Adam Fisher. Adam,
That's
how
me.
are you?
Good. How are you, Bill?
Why don't you move your microphone in front of your face?
Yeah, we'd like to hear you.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
All right.
So
Sorry.
we're just standing out here. It is the night before opening day of regular season here in the southern zone of New York. And we're up at Harvey Deer Camp and enjoying a nice evening around the fire. So wanted to get everybody's thoughts on tomorrow and expectations. It's going to be a loud day in the woods. It's pretty dry and pretty mild. So it should be a loud morning in the woods, but it should be a good morning in the woods. So I guess first we'll start with you, Jonesy. This is your first ever opening day of gun season.
Yeah, and
What's your expectation?
I think I said it earlier. The goal is to have no expectations. The deer
I hate that, by the way.
the deer feel the expectations. I just want to be a part of nature tomorrow, and
Yeah.
hopefully one walks in front of me. But yeah, just super thankful to be up here and I'll be allowed to hang out with you guys. And like I said, I was talking earlier that my first time being able to hunt with more than one person. I've just been hunting by myself primarily, so
Yeah.
it'll be cool to get in the woods with you and Connor. And I think we got a good game plan, at least to hopefully get a deer on the ground and have some fun hanging out together tonight. It's been fun, and really enjoyed watching Connor drive his Audi up the hill,
Yeah.
which was very entertaining.
I'm still amazed.
And it did really well.
It
So
performed perfectly.
It's a performance machine.
It is a performance.
It is a performance
yeah,
machine.
no, it was fun. So I mean, excited to get in there tomorrow and have some fun, and it'll be a good day. It'll be fun hanging out with you guys, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of banter, and there's been plenty of banter tonight, and it's been good being up here at the
Are
cabin.
you going to whack one tomorrow?
I hope so. It's a goal.
Anything? Is
What's-
it just brown it's down, or you got?
What are you
No.
gonna
What are your
do?
What are your
Oh.
limits?
No, I'd like to. I'd like to shoot a better buck than my first one. The first buck that walked in front of me, opening day of bow season, I let one have it. So
Yeah.
if it feels right, it's going down. If it doesn't, it's gonna walk, and hopefully it walks towards you guys and you put it down. But
Yeah.
I'd like to get something on the ground tomorrow is the goal, and hopefully we can make it happen. Hopefully it's not too noisy in there, not too much commotion on that public land that we're going to be on, and we have a good time.
Hopefully it's just the right amount of commotion.
Yeah, hopefully as in the commotion runs right to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've set ourselves up strategically for the commotion to work in our favor. So
Yeah.
we will know.
And
We will
that's
know at about 8 a.m.
Yeah.
whether the commotion is has gone our direction or not.
That's
so.
and that's mainly due to your part of planning it and scouting it, putting your time in on that land, and kind of getting us up there. And I hunted that spot where you have me in, a week or so ago, and up in that stand. I mean, I had does walking out in front of me within 30 minutes. I mean, it was.
Yeah. There's a lot of deer up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of deer up there. I think it's a good spot, and I'll have a good vantage point to let you guys know if there's deer walking down that ravine towards you guys, and I think we'll be all set.
Yeah.
So on that topic, let's can you give us a layout of how you guys are going to be set up on the hill?
Yeah, so we are I've hunted this piece the last 2 years on opening day, and there's been quite a bit of pressure from the neighboring pieces, the neighboring private land, the people from those pieces of property coming onto the public land. So my game plan, from what I've seen the last 2 years, and now having the three of us going up there together, is that we're going to be, Connor and I are going to kind of be on like exit points where the deer are going to be trying to get to, from my past experience, that they try to dump down into some terrain that will give them safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
So Connor and I hopefully will be waiting there for them when they dump off from the pressure, and then Jeff is going to be up top on like an oak flat up on top of the mountain, where he's got really good visibility. You should be able to see, on a good clear day like that without there's no vegetation on at this point, so you'll be able to see 200 yards in a circle around you.
Yep.
So you can see a lot, and you'll be able to hear a lot too with how loud the leaves are. So there shouldn't be a whole lot sneaking up on you, unless it's the stealthiest
unless
creature
I'm napping.
ever. Yeah, or if you're sleeping.
I moved to water for a reason.
Yeah, I know. So I think I'm like anxiously, like I was talking to Dan Zaylor before I came up on my way up here today. Like have like those pregame jitters today, because I feel like I've put a lot of thought into this, and like I feel really good about where I've got us all set up.
Which means we're going to see no deer.
Yeah, so there's a really good chance it's going to be a dud. But there's also a really good chance that I've been doing a lot of scouting here. This is where at the same area where I shot my buck with my bow, and I know there's some really good bucks on this piece of property, and this past year I found some good sheds over the winter. It's like I know there's good mature bucks living here, and I just haven't had an opportunity with a gun to take, to see one and shoot one.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that, really where Connor and I are, I really firmly believe that not just from the property that we're hunting, but there's a very good chance that there could be deer that come from neighboring properties and get pushed into where we are because of the type of terrain that is. It's very unfavorable terrain for people to go into.
Right.
So my theory is if we get to places where people don't want to go, that's where the deer want to be, because there isn't people there, and we're going to be there waiting for them. So I'm excited about that. Like, that's just my theory.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that, like, up here on our property. Like we were talking today, Adam. It's pretty predictable. Like, you really know what you've got. There's only so many places where the deer can bed. And the way we travel, our cabin is up in the middle of the property. So it's just kind of like, if our cabin was down at the bottom of the hill and this was all just woods, it's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that we're approaching this, like, it's hiking only. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to get up in there, let everything settle down, and let the deer funnel to us rather than here. When we leave camp, especially, it's like, for whatever reason, it's opening day here at our camp. It's like, I feel like I've had so many opening days that were just duds, because I think we push a lot of stuff around.
Right.
But then in days following, deer flood back in here because we don't really pressure it that much. We just travel through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if that all makes sense or not, but that's kind of my thought pattern as to, our game plan over there, and my game plan as to why I'm not hunting here.
Right. Like,
day,
so with this property here at camp, we get the pressured deer to come to us, later following opening day.
Sometimes even the next day, like Sunday, we've had.
Sundays are usually really, really good here, where opening day, like you said, it's usually pretty slow. We may find the bucks we've been chasing, for all of archery. Might catch them cruising where they were just outside of archery range, but we're not going to see the numbers that you guys will see over there.
Right.
you know, it'll be, if we see one, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, like, walking, I just did a quick, like, power hike today. There's all these oaks down below here. Like, there's no acorns. Like, I'm not seeing any acorns on the ground.
Right.
So, like, in past years, like, you have on and off years where those trees produce and you have deer hanging around. Like, there's really good sign down by the pond.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't see, like, a whole lot of food. Like, like, what's the reason for them to stay there and hang out?
Right.
So, I mean, there's water there, which right now it's super dry, and they need water. So that's where your water is down there or up in the valley on the creek.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's interesting to see the trends, and the cameras have told us that. Like, our cameras here on the property have really, like, quieted down over the last 7 to 10 days. It was nuts right around Halloween weekend, which we knew because we were here and we shot bucks.
Right.
Like, that was the weekend, and the cameras keep telling us that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's us here on our property with our Doe Group. That doesn't mean that's what it is everywhere. We've seen crazy running activity. I've seen it driving around all over the place
Right.
in other areas all throughout November here. So it isn't consistent. You know, if it's happening here, it doesn't mean it's happening everywhere.
Right.
You know,
So,
it's
like
kinda-
that other property that I have permission to hunt on, the farm down the road, you know, went through that today, and there's scrapes all over that are fresh.
Oh, really?
And a lot of rubs that are still pretty fresh from within the last 7 days, you know, and that's not that far away. It's on the same hill.
Yeah.
You know, what, half a mile away?
Yeah.
Less than a mile away.
And that could be where a lot of the bucks have gone from here. They're over there because that Doe Group is in
Moved
heat,
over.
and that's where the bucks are to seek them out.
Right.
But then once that is all, you know, I would think in the next week or so that'll be, I mean, I would think pretty soon to now it would be wrapping up, and then you're going to get them just focused on safety and food.
Right.
Safety and food. Cover and food.
And that's what I've seen. You know, I had yesterday and today off, so I was down here hunting, and I've seen the sign picking up in the pockets of acorns that are where there is acorns on the ground. You know, I've seen where they're starting to scratch in those areas.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good thing to capitalize on tomorrow with picking one of those spots that are starting to pick up and go in there, and, you know, maybe catch a buck cruising to, you know, check for the late does.
Yeah.
Or even the bucks, you know, looking for the food to start packing back on after a intense, you know, week of rutting.
Right. Or a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts, Connor? This is our first. You and I we've hunted twice together ever,
Yeah.
and we've shot 2 deer.
2 for 2. I mean,
2 for 2.
the stats are good.
And I was telling Jeff that part of my confidence, I've hunted 2 opening days over there, and I've shot 2 deer.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, it's just, I mean, it has to continue to happen.
I think so.
Yeah.
It
So
feels good.
what are you feeling? What's your thoughts? You have no idea where I'm sending you. You've never seen it.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
I'm like over here like
I
excited.
golf too much in the summertime. I rely on you to do all the scoping for me. I just rely on you to put me in the right spot.
Gotta
And
keep
I'll
that
just
hand-
show up with a sighted and shotgun, and I'll be ready to go.
Got to keep that handicap low, you know.
You have to, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I feel good. I think I think the weather looks great. I'm very thankful that it's not going to be like 20, 25 degrees. We probably would have a lot less people in the woods if it was like that. But weather looks pretty good. I think you were talking about we have a pretty favorable wind.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
good. Well, I think
northwest.
for where you and I are going to be, I think it's super favorable. It's
Yeah.
going to be a north wind.
Yeah.
A very light north wind.
Yeah.
And I think that the thermals are going to overpower that.
Mm.
So with us being in that
We should be good. Yeah.
ravine, you're going to have thermals pulling
Everything up.
pulling the air down.
Down.
I think it'll be pulling down quite a bit.
It's cooling tomorrow, right? It's going to be going from the 50s down to the 40s.
Yeah.
40s,
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
So you're going to have some of that air pulling down, but then you're
Yeah.
also going to have
A north wind.
we
coming
might,
from
you
the
know,
way.
if we do get some sun tomorrow, it might lift a little. But
Yeah.
I think in the area that you are and I am,
Mhm.
we're down close to that ravine with that stream, and there's a lot of. I don't know if I will see sun at all. If
Mhm.
I stay where I am, I might not see sun all day.
Yeah.
It's just kind of you're in the hemlocks and it's just dark. So I think they'll be just downward pulling thermals all day in there. It's kind of what I'm thinking. And without a heavy wind, I think the thermals will overpower that. So Yeah,
I think that's actually a good situation too for me being up on that.
Yes.
Because
Well,
that's how I got
wind should
blown
be
out of
pulling
there.
away from there,
From
you
that
know?
bedding area, you guys, it should be pulling down in that ravine. It's going to be coming across that flat towards you guys, which is actually a good thing because I
Right.
think those deer are going to be coming up that hill from that lower pressure that they're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's how I got blown out on those does when I hunted in there that first time. Is that wind was a north wind, but it was a warming day, so those thermals were pulling up, which was good. The deer got in close, and then all of a sudden those thermals laid down, and that wind gusted up, and they would smell me, and they were kind of unsure and just didn't get close enough. So that might actually help with a pulling day. Not that I know what the F I'm talking about, but that's just going.
You sound like
it sounded really good.
Great.
Thanks.
You never should have said that second part.
Yeah, I know.
You've been drinking beer and whiskey since about 3:30, so
Yeah, we did all right.
yeah.
Yeah, we do.
So whatever you say, it sounds real good to me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
No, I feel good, man. I did, more and more just, every off season as as my freezer gets a little lower, and I've been buying some quarter cows from a local farmer, and that meat is run low. I got another quarter cow coming at the end of November, but more and more the more I can just rely on filling the freezer with deer. Just if it's brown, it's down for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unless it's a young buck. If it's a spike buck, I'll let it pass. But if it's a good sized doe, I'll take it. If it's a 2-year-old deer, it's going down.
Please.
It's so I have an empty freezer, and it's got to get full.
It'd be nice to pull 3 antlers out of there tomorrow.
I'll be freaking tickled. Like 3 total antlers or 6 antlers? Like
Yeah,
a
6.
half rack.
I guess that's 6, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's 6.
Which I would
6
take a
sets of
half rack.
3
and-
sets of antlers.
Can I want to take a step back real quick?
Yes.
So I know that the podcast is called Pert Near Outdoors, and I know the story behind it.
Yeah.
I never heard. I hear you guys say Pert Near because it's almost it's forced a little bit. You
is
guys,
kind of forced,
It's forced. You used it in there. Who's the gentleman that built the cabin? Bob. So Bob is an 85-year-old man who built Billy's cabin, and we were just in here talking, and he did not force a pert near. It was the first.
He
said pert near. It was fantastic.
No, he didn't.
I smiled so hard. he's telling me a story about his wife who he took skiing at Swain for the first time ever. Her first and only time ever skiing, and she got up to the kiddie lift where you get off on Swain and you get off and go down the bunny hill. And he's like, she fell pert near the height of this roof. I was like, yes. I was like, oh my god! Like that was like the first natural pert near I've ever heard in my entire life out of an 85-year-old man.
Oh my god.
That was awesome.
Then Uncle
That's
Mike started
gold.
twitching. He's like, God damn it! Don't encourage those boys.
So I'm sorry, a little off topic, but
No,
I
it's
had to
not.
pepper it in there.
No, that's awesome. I
I'm
wish I
glad
heard
you
that.
got to chat with Bob. Like that's
He's a
dude.
great dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common. He skis, golfs,
Yeah.
hunts,
And-
fishes. And
and
it's
so-
like, dude, we could talk forever.
Like that's part of the hunting camp tradition is, and like this year it sucks that it is the way it is and trying to keep the distance from everybody because like Bob is the one that keeps us together and gives us a memory of our grandpa.
Yeah.
Correct.
My grandpa,
Right.
who is the kind of the head of the family that
Patriarch.
that put this passion for hunting into all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So like at the end of the day, like all of us are standing around here because of my grandpa, and Bob is still here, and like it's amazing how well he's doing. I mean,
He's
it's
in
incredible.
damn good shape. I tell you that
And
much.
he's
Yeah,
just
he's
he's
great.
active, super smart guy, like very successful in life, and it's great to have him up here year after year. It's like you only see him once a year usually, and it's opening weekend of deer season.
Yeah, it's good to see
And
him.
it's just it's the same thing.
Nice to meet
It's like at dark, Bob rolls up in his side by side and by golly, how are you boys? And he never knows who. Like, oh, Adam, Billy, who are you? He never knows who you are. Whatever.
He doesn't see you that often. What do you
No.
expect?
But it's like that's what this is all about. And
Right.
To have to have you, Connor, to have you and Jeff here, like it's awesome to two relatively new hunters. Jeff's brand new, Connor, you're relatively new,
Yeah.
and like to introduce new people to the hunting tradition and the deer camp tradition it's super important to me and to our family. It's awesome to do this. And
Well, I came from a family of non-hunters. I would assume like
Right.
Jeff, so I never had a tradition. So I mean,
Right.
opening day, I would been I know you've invited me a number of times.
Yeah.
It's just until because I'm hopefully going to be that patriarch and at some point with my family to hopefully get my boys into hunting and their kids into hunting.
Yeah.
But I just don't have that tradition built yet in my family. So I appreciate you guys having me up here before they get old enough where I can start, bringing our kids up here and they can all start doing it. I think that's going to be really cool. Is when those kids get old enough, and we're all, the boys are up here, and we're, it's opening day for them. That's going to be fun.
And we're only saying boys because we only have boys.
I have,
and only boys can hunt.
Adam
right?
has 2 girls.
I have 2 girls. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Very sexist of me. Both boys and girls.
Connor and I were. He was discussing it with me.
I am on notice. You are on notice, sir. Women also hunt.
Yeah, I took Liv hunting for the first time this year.
Nice.
Over
That's
on
awesome.
that property, and she absolutely loved it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Painted the faces and did the whole
nice.
thing, and
awesome.
Yeah, she just absolutely loved it. And
until
it got cold.
Yeah. I was driving down our spot, and there was this guy coming.
Easy.
Oh, I didn't say what lake.
I can edit
Boston.
I can
edit it. You should.
Anyways, I was driving down Chautauqua Lake and down East Lake Road, and there's a guy walking out of his house with his son walking behind him. He had to be like 8 or 9 years old. I'm like, man, I can't wait.
Yeah. That's gonna be awesome.
Awesome. Guy had his bow in his hand, son following right behind him. Like, that's super cool. Like, again, Adam, you brought your daughters out, and it's not, but to take your kid out in the woods
it's
and
so cool.
experience it's super awesome. Can't wait for that.
Well, even taking, it's just that's all of this stuff comes full circle with that, and like we're in that in between stage here, where we're up here without our kids, but quickly that'll change before we know it.
Right.
And things will be different there.
I'm just hoping to know what the heck I'm doing by the time my kids get up to have to hunt.
Well, I was just thinking, like, it's such a different thing. I mean, I've taken Holden golfing, and that was fun, but it wasn't like this huge event. I've taken him fishing. We caught fish, and I think with hunting, like the prospect of you going out into the woods and taking an animal's life with your kid, it's such like a bonding moment. I mean, it's just, it's a memory that you'll both have forever. It's just such a different thing. It's unlike any other sport. I would imagine that they'd be able to do with your kid.
Yeah. Well, it's also like you got to taking the sport word out of it. It's almost like, okay, we're teaching your child how to provide for a family.
Right, true.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not out there in the woods. You're out there providing, taking an animal's life to provide for your family, and not to get like emotional or anything like that. But I think that's a bigger piece to it as well, as teaching them that life aspect of what that's like and what you can do with it and what this animal's giving to you and how they survive. And we're all just animals on this planet. Right. Ultimately, we're just a little bit higher in the food chain in this sense. So I think it's a cool aspect of bringing life full circle as well. I think is a cool thing for me that I want to be able to do for my sons.
100%. Yeah.
And I think it's more than just the hunting of the animals. It's teaching them how to move in the woods and look at different things. You may be hunting deer, but you see all the other wildlife, and
like that giant raccoon we got on camera.
Right.
That thing it's got to be a bear.
But I look back at growing up when Jimmy and I were younger and following in Dad's footsteps, and Joel was a huge, Dad's best friend Joel was a huge, he's basically a second father to us. And like you learned lessons of respect and trust and loyalty and all of those things, hard work, going and doing something when it was raining out and it was crappy, but you did it because you wanted to do it with your dad or you wanted to do it with your mentor. And like there's value to that. Like it's getting out and doing something that's uncomfortable and doing something that has a reward at the end. And the memories that you have of that. So like that's what's interesting with you guys. Like that was very early on, and in a lot of parts for you too, Adam. Yeah. Like you didn't really start hunting until you were 20.
I was 22 when I started hunting.
Yeah. So like all three of you guys really were kind of late onset hunters.
Right. Like I grew up in the woods, but I went hunting with people, but never actively hunting myself.
You're a bird dog.
Pretty much. Yeah. And but yeah, I was a very late bloomer coming in at 22. So.
And that's like that. I guess like I would just ask all three of you guys. Like it's kind of like I talk about Jimmy and I being 6 years old with Dad when he shoots the first deer, and like that's our memories. But for you guys, it's just totally. And like Jeff and I talked about that today. Like I was telling him about how important wind is, And like I never grasped that until I was literally getting ready to focus on hunting in the mountains in Colorado, and it all like came together as how important the wind is, and how important it is to understand how it works in the hills.
Right.
But like I'm telling him that now, and he made the comment to me. It's like, but Jeff's 30. What, you're 31?
Yeah.
And like you have a better ability to comprehend things and understand the theory of that stuff at 31 than you do when you're 16 or 14.
Right.
Right.
You know, like I didn't know that. I was hunting for 15 years before I understood that stuff. You know, it's just kind of, it's like crazy. So I guess kind of like spinning that on you guys. Like, what's that like jumping into this? Like, do you feel like there has been a steep curve? Like there's a lot of things you just don't know, or do you feel like you're picking up on stuff quickly? Or
So like I'll take the lead on that one. But you know, for me, I've pretty much hunted up here my whole hunting career. It's been here on this property or with you guys.
Yeah.
And I was actually just thinking about that the other day, about how when I first started hunting up until like 2, maybe 3 years ago, where actually started picking up on, okay, the winds are pushing this way. I can't go hunt this stand. I have to go over here, because if I hunt this stand, it's just going to blow the area out, and that stand's going to be garbage for, you know, who knows how long.
right.
So, you know, it's definitely been a learning curve, but I don't know if I definitely just lost my train of thought on that one.
Well, it's like you don't, and I think our family here isn't so like super aware of that stuff.
Right.
Like Dad and Uncle Mike are like, yeah, I'm gonna go hunt the same spot I've hunted for the last 20 years.
Opening day.
Yeah.
Your dad was telling me a story. He's like, I used to hunt this. You know, he was talking about one of your grandfather's last bucks that he killed up on the hill.
Yeah.
He's like, I killed a deer on this stand every, opening day 8 years in a row or something ridiculous like that. Like, he didn't think about it. He just walked up the hill and, and sat in the stand and shot something.
And the wind was probably different every single time, right?
Yeah.
So there's like,
so who's doing it wrong? Are we paying attention too much, or what is the deal here?
It's more fun that way.
Yeah. I guess. Right.
There's a million. I mean,
variables.
It's all about whatever you want.
Right.
For me, I want to be thinking about, like, Connor, the hunt you and I had when I shot my buck. Like, we executed it based on the weather. We knew where the deer were. Like, if we hunted on the other side of the brush just because I had seen a bunch of good sign over there,
there'd been nothing.
We wouldn't have seen a damn thing. Because
like where I was, there was nothing. There, I mean, what, 30 yards, 40 yards up the hill? I mean, you were seeing them everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just
100 yards difference.
Yep.
So it's like there's a lot of that stuff, and it's all what you want from it. Like, if you love going and sitting in that same spot that you've sat in, I find the adventure in walking around, and like I'm out for a walk this evening or this afternoon, and I'm like, okay, so I asked you, Adam, I go, what the hell direction is the wind actually blowing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, it's out of the southwest. And I'm like, well, this wind is coming straight out of the north. The wind was wrapping around the hill and sucking around and pushing out of the north. And it's like, so if you're sitting at home and you're like, okay, so this weekend it's going to be a southwest wind and I'm going to hunt this stand down here on the hill. It's like, but you have to understand what it does here.
Correct.
It's not hunting a flat top of a mountain or farmland up in Livingston County.
Right.
It's different.
Hey.
Oh,
you said a county.
A county, son of a bitch. People know.
There's zero.
But that's why hunting's fun, and that's why I correlated it with Jeff when we were talking. Because Jeff's, Connor, you too, like you're into fishing and fly fishing, and there's a lot of correlation between like understanding how water flows in streams and how wind flows and how fish position themselves. There's a lot of correlation between that and the way that deer move and how they, how they use current of wind to their benefit.
Well, you think about it like lake style, right? Like if you're or a pond, let's make it smaller and be a pond. Those fish are there to feed, right? So if you're fishing a predatory fish, you got a wind blowing across, it's going to push that bait fish downwind into a corridor, and those predatory fish are going to come in and eat that section. Right. So you fish, put your back to the wind and fish that shoreline.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of how it is. You almost have to simplify it. I think I'm learning a lot just from you guys, different podcasts, watching videos and things like that. Things that I think I want to get better at are conversing with, moving through the woods, understanding where I need to be, how deer movement happens, in order to be able to be more efficient at my opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not being in the woods that many times, I think that's something I want to be better at. But I'm trying to learn the big picture things, such as wind directions. How does that handle it? How does that react to deer and stuff? And then get into the nitty gritty of, again, another story your dad told me. I love listening to your dad. He's amazing. Your grandfather would walk up the hill and walk to the top, and he said he would kill a deer before he got to the top of the hill every time.
Mm-hmm.
He would take a couple steps, wait 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you can't get me to stand still for 30 seconds.
No shot. Yeah.
Right?
No
Like, that's just like, I need to be able to move through the woods, to be able to still hunt like
Yeah.
that and be efficient. Like, those people don't realize how much deer hear you. And I've learned that through fly fishing is the best opportunities I have at catching a lake run steelhead or a brown trout or even salmon is the quieter I am walking to a spot, the less those fish hear me, and I can get into a spot and get up on a pool before they even know I'm there. That happens, right? How do you watch a crane pick fish out of a little puddle,
Yeah.
right? How quiet and how stealthy those things are into that. Like, Connor, I'm sure you could attest to that in the fishing world, is like, if you traipse into a spot or a hole, like, you just blew that whole thing out. It's all
Right.
over with, right? You're flagged immediately. It's done and over with. So being able to put myself into a setting where I'm uncomfortable, which is not uncomfortable, that's different for me, which is the woods, I think is something I'm excited to get comfortable, get ingrained in. And I like to do things the hardest possible way. Hence why I fly fish, and that's why I wanted to bow hunt first. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to do the hardest thing possible to make my most challenge. This is what I like personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, same. I love the challenge, and that's I love learning new things. I call myself a serial hobbyist. I have so many. I have lists and lists of things I want to do, and of course, this new show on Netflix. It's like Forge and Fire, where they make
Yeah.
like knives and swords.
Oh,
like
God.
God damn, I've always wanted to do that. So I have like a forge in my Amazon shopping cart right now. No, but I just love learning new things, and it feels like every single time I step into the woods, I'm learning something new. That's one of the cool things that it keeps drawing me back to. I've gone through a number of different hobbies where I've learned them, and not obviously I never mastered them, but they just never really caught my attention. Whether it was like for example, like photography. I got a really good camera set up, and that just never really caught my attention. Tried it for a while, moved on. But like with hunting, just moving through the woods, every time I step into the woods, I'm learning something new. It's a different experience. I saw something new. I heard something new. It's a lot of fun for me. And personally, honestly, I'm probably for me hunting, I'm probably more like your dad and your uncle. I think
Just want to get out there and enjoy it.
I know I'm gonna have probably a dozen days of the year that I'm gonna get out into the woods. And for me, it's just like I'll try to do it at the most opportune times. End of October, November. Hunt a lot during those days to up my my chances of getting into a rut. But yeah, for me, it's just gonna be one of those things. I just love being outdoors. And if I get a deer, great. If I don't, I'm not really gonna worry too much about it.
Yeah.
That's just that's my personal take on it.
Yeah.
But I really really enjoy hunting, and it's going to be something that I'm going to do for a really long time. I really enjoy it.
It's awesome. And it's funny you say that the way you said it too, because we meaning myself and a lot of people around me and people that we just obsess 12 months out of the year.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What's going on? We got to work on our food plots. We got to do this. And it's like, it's refreshing sometimes to hear people that are like, yeah, I get excited.
Cool.
I start thinking about hunting
It's
October.
August. I'm like, I should probably start pulling out my bag and just getting some reps with my bow.
And so it's like,
and I don't until September.
Right.
so like I'm completely addicted right now.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I hope I never lose that passion, that addiction. But the focus will change in time. That it'll be getting the kids involved and spending time with
100%.
them.
Yeah.
But that's from my perspective, like it's the with you guys, having you guys up here and going to do that tomorrow, and like you getting your first deer a couple of years ago,
Right.
Like that just changes everything. And the fact where you realize that you're making an impact on helping somebody else,
right?
And you're just my big kid.
Yeah.
My big. Well, I guess for new hunters, I know when people are getting into it, like I think there's this big movement to start hunting again because. I think I hope 15, 20 years from now we look back and we just see that factory farming is a horrible thing. So I think people want to get more. I think we saw with COVID. I mean, in their local park, I mean, it had record attendance of people just getting outdoors, and I think people are starting to connect with that more and wanting that. But I hope people know as they get into hunting, you don't have to go as deep as you guys do.
Right.
I mean, you can buy, if you can buy a rifle or buy a bow, make sure you're accurate. Obviously, you don't want, the worst thing you could ever do is just injure an animal. If you're accurate with your rifle, I mean, just go out into the woods, find some local land. You don't have to know the winds and the terrain. No. Be safe, get out into the woods, and you might get lucky. There's a lot of people who go golfing for the third time and get hole-in-ones. Yeah. I mean, you can get out there and shoot a deer, and you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be Steve Rinella to go shoot a deer. So I hope people know that as well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just you can take it to like everything. You can take it to whatever level you want, for sure.
Tomorrow we're going to take it to filling every tag we got in our pocket as well. I'm fired up. I'm fucking fired up. Well, we don't need to belabor this thing too much longer because I could just keep saying the same thing over and over again. I'm excited about tomorrow.
That'll be fun.
We're going to post this on Monday. So hopefully by the time this posts, we've got deer on the ground and on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And another good opener in the books. So thanks for being here, Connor. Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Good having you on the podcast.
Yeah.
And Jeff is off. I don't know. He got bored with the conversation.
He just said he couldn't move, he couldn't stop moving. So
he had to go pee-pee, I think.
I think he's doing the family thing.
We'll see how the Audi gets down the hill.
Yeah.
There's that water.
Yeah. We kind of talked about this, but
do you have like do you have like wood? We kind of like
we get a little ramp.
We
got a whole pile of wood we're standing next to.
My dad spent probably $1,000 on that wood. But that's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
So we're
the bumper will cost more.
Yeah, right.
Ending out this podcast. So Connor is supposed to be down here at about 2:00, noonish, 2:00, and then I get a text message at 3:30. Hey, what's your address? Might be a little bit late after dark. I might not find it. So I sent him the address. So it's about the time I'm figuring you're going to be here, and Jeff and I are standing right here, and I see a car slowing down. I don't hear big tires, so I know it's not Tim. And I'm like, oh, Connor's here. So I go and get my truck, and I fire my truck up.
Oh, you're going to come get me?
I was coming down to get him.
Yeah. No way. I'm going up.
Coming down to get you, and I just see headlights coming up the hill. I'm like, who the hell? And around the corner comes Connor and his Audi. What is it? An Ace?
S4.
S4.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
A or S.
It's an S4. It's the sporty edition.
Yeah, sporty.
It's the sporty edition.
We have one fairly deep water bar on our two.
Two, one at the bottom and one halfway.
It scared the shit out of me, that second one on coming up on the road.
The second one is way more aggressive, I think, than the one coming up from the bottom.
Yeah.
And because I can always feel my truck, I can feel like all four wheels kind of doing their own independent thing. So I will be extremely interested to see how your car handles that going downhill.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, it handled it good coming up.
Me too.
So
it never scraped once coming up. Which
surprised the shit out of me. That really did. I was like, uh-oh.
Got a good 4-inch clearance on the bottom of that.
When I saw the headlights, after you had already made it, like 3/4 of the way up here, and I'm like, yeah, he's here. He did it.
He did it.
I'm amazed.
You're an American hero.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
German engineering at its finest.
German engineering. Only one. Everybody else has trucks.
Yep.
Feel a little out of place.
V-dub coming at you.
When I put down a deer tomorrow, we are going to strap up a buck to the back of that S4. It's going to look awesome.
Deal.
It's going to be great.
Promise?
It's going to look awesome.
How are we going to strap it on there?
I have a photo that someone did. They basically what they did was that they tied like the front legs and the back legs together, and then they just threw it on the back of the trunk. And this was like in a Cadillac like sedan, and then they just tied it through. They put the two windows down in the back, and then just tied the two legs through the window and just strapped it onto the back. And I was like, that is because that was always my biggest concern. I was like, how the hell am I going to get a goddamn deer in that trunk? And we're not going to get in the trunk. We're going to put it on top of the trunk, and we're going to strap it through the windows.
There's two ways we're going to drag a deer out of there tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a wall hanger, and we're going to need to cape it, so we're going to drag it out.
Yep.
Or it's just a regular buck that you shot, and it's going to go on the trunk of your car.
100%.
Deal?
A deal.
I love it.
Deal.
Okay.
That's where we're going to end on that.
Can we post a picture of it?
Yes.
You have to. Did it happen if you didn't post a picture?
Right, it never
Socially
happened.
distance and do that.
Socially
Cheers.
distance hunting.
Good luck
boys.
tomorrow.
Cheers, Bill.
Good
Shoot
luck to
straight.
everyone.
Shoot straight.
Be
safe.
Identify what you're shooting at.
And beyond.
Keep fading them.